If there's one thing I wish somebody would have taught me early in my career, it would be to proactively build my network. Sure, I was asked and offered to go to industry events to meet new people, but it was often framed as a boondoggle, as a reward, if you will, and I always chose staying back, getting my work done, thinking that was the better path to advancement or doing better at the company. Little did I know until later in my career that a strong network with solid relationships is a phenomenal tool in your toolbox to get things done. In today's video, we're going to talk about building relationships. But before we do, let me ask you a few basic questions. If you're facing a really tough deadline and just don't know how you're going to get it done, could you pick up the phone or walk over to another department and get help? Or if your boss asked you for some data, could you pick up the phone and call one of your colleagues in the finance department and get the data you need, knowing that it's going to be at least 2 weeks before they would run it on a regular schedule? These are just a couple of examples of internal relationships that are critical in everyday life. In a recent video I did about innovation, I talked about seeking solutions outside your department or company where people have already solved your problem and spend your time adapting those solutions to your problems. I also talked about sharing your vision and strategy and welcoming critique and challenge. But if you don't know anybody outside your department or your company, it's really difficult to expect people to take a cold call, especially when you want to share information, and in some cases confidential information. When I talk to leaders, I find that they have pretty decent internal networks, usually because they've changed departments, so they know people from around the company. Their employees have moved around, so they maintain those contacts. So in general, people have pretty good internal networks. Outside networks are not as robust. If people do have relationships, typically they're with former employers or their employees have moved to other places and they maintain those contacts. Few people are proactively building relationships and networks. Start by taking the time to proactively build relationships outside of your department. Offer to speak at other departments' communication meetings. Invite them to speak at yours. Speak at industry conferences. Volunteer to help HR when they go to campus visits. Volunteer to assist somebody when they need those people for overtime or are in a bind and need an extra set of hands. These are the things that need to get done in order for you to establish that important relationship. Manage your network. Keep a spreadsheet of everybody. Make sure that once a quarter you reach out to somebody or 2 times a year, whatever the right amount of time is, but find a reason to reach out, see how they're doing, see how their children are doing. Make it a point to build the relationship. Ask yourself, if I call this person, will they pick up the phone? Will they know who I am? Or will they say, this person only calls when they need something? We all have a list of those people, and you just don't want to be on that list. Proactively build these relationships. Find a reason to help people. If there's one thing you take away from my message today, it's the following. It is impossible to build a relationship when you need one. You have to have the relationship in place. Just think about it. Thanks for taking the time to watch the video. If you want some more leadership thoughts, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on LinkedIn, or visit our website, winstonepartners.com. Always remember that better leaders yield a better business.